Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Oxygen Not Included. In today's episode here, we are going to be continuing the Volcano Power Design Challenge. And in this episode here, we've got some new, fresh ideas that you guys have been bringing up to me all over the place. Twitter, email, a lot of comments. I'm pretty sure somebody sent something to my house. Boom! A lot of it up in here. So the new direction I believe we're going to go with today here is that we're going to try to convert the high temperature that we see in the natural gas. We're going to try to move that into water and run a steam turbine. That was brought up many, many times, and I think that's the right way to do it because, you know, if we're going to be generating steam, we might as well get power out of it. So in order to do that, you need high temperature. And then we can use the lower temperatures and soak that into the crude oil. So we're actually going to do the opposite of what we did last time. So you can see in this example here, this is where we left off last time. We've kind of got the tungsten down here, some petroleum. Let me turn that off, sorry. Turn the petroleum, creates some natural gas, which then vents through. And that kind of pre-warms up the crude oil a little bit. And we also messed around with like some snaky things. So here's what we're going to do. All right, so Alex G here has, I think, the very first element that I want to incorporate into this sort of power plant here. So you can see in this image right here that he was able to share with me, he's got the volcano right down here, and then it has a couple of thermal shift plates, and it goes through kind of a thermal control coupler. It's kind of the name we've given it, but more or less, this is basically just a door between two metal tiles that creates a vacuum, and that vacuum thermally separates two zones. So once you kind of open that up, the heat from down here no longer can transfer across it. Now we used that in kind of the first video that was on volcano power thing, and we've used it a lot in other places. We're going to use that a lot tonight to definitely control the temperature, and you can see that he's doing it in a couple places right here. First off, to generate the natural gas, and then he's also using it on the other side here to cool it down or to get rid of some of that heat. So we can see Doroff's example right here. So this little automation sequence right here will actually, when these doors are opened, they'll all open, and then the middle one has a timer on it, which it will close and then go back to open state, as we've seen in this automation sequence right here. We've done that a couple times. Useful for doors to get duplicates through and stuff like that. We might use one of these in order to gain access in case we need to clear out some of this igneous rock. There was a couple comments of like, what happens once this stuff builds up? And, you know, that is a problem that we'll have to deal with. But it's also a problem that you can get away with for a long time if you dig it out far enough. Here's another system right here from Thrixta. You can see in this plant here all sorts of crazy things that are going on there, but you can take a look on it on the Twitter if you want to get a closer view of what's going on there. But the big thing here is that we have a magma compressor, and it kind of has a heat lock and all that good stuff. So that's pretty crazy. So one of the cool things here is that it can really compress all of that magma down to one spot right there, hopefully keeping the temperature above the point where it turns into rock, which would be great if you had a way of controlling that. But it is one potential method, maybe not to ever allow it to cool far enough to turn into rock. But there's a lot of other things going on here as well. All right, so let's get into this. Mop it up. No, just destroy everything. There you go. All right, so I think I've got a pretty decent plan inside my brain here. So let's see what we can do. Now that we've got a volcano right here, you can see it's dormant. Apparently, there is somebody who figured out that all the volcanoes along the same like axis, like this or like that or something like that, have the same properties. Like the properties of this depends on where it's at in the map. I don't know. Anyhow, crazy side bit information right there. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to start off by doing this little number right here, where I'm just going to put tungsten on the top. So a lot of these builds we're talking about, and a lot of things you guys were talking about in the comment section was trying to make the system go up instead of try to, you know, work it from the bottom here where the magma is dropping down. And I think that's definitely the right method because, you know, as things turn into a gas, they want to go up. Or heat wants to rise, I should say. So it makes sense to build a system vertically off of a volcano. So you can see inside of here, there's a little bit of oxygen that's just polluted. That's really not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and pre-seed this with a little bit of magma down there. And I'm going to go with the assumption that we are going to dig this out a little bit further than what we have here so that we can build up some more, we can build up a bigger volume of magma in case we have a magma volcano that actually puts out a lot of material. So there we go. Deconstruct all of that. It's also probably a good idea to have a couple of thermal shift plates back there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some diamond in here. And the whole purpose of thermal shift plates in this area is just to take the heat that's down here in the magma and transfer it to the gas. All right, so here's what I got going on right now. I've got some magma down here in the bottom, a bunch of thermal shift plates. These are made of diamond. Yeah. And you can see that there's really not a lot of temperature being shifted around right now because there's just not much gas inside of here. Just a little bit of polluted oxygen that might have found its way in while we were digging our way into this volcano. In between these two zones of metal tiles, the metal tiles are made of tungsten, but the mechanized airlock is made of wolframite. So this mechanized airlock is made of wolframite because look at its melting temperature, 2,926 degrees Celsius. That is absolutely fantastic. And its thermal conductivity is still 15, which is quite a bit higher than the iron doors that we normally end up using. So if we take a look at those, you can see that its thermal conductivity is 4 and its melting temperature is 1,500 degrees. So when this is closed, we're going to be able to transfer a lot of thermal energy down here from the bottom, boom, right up through this hot plate. All right, so looking back at Alex's system right here, he's got the right idea. By putting a liquid sensor on top of this, what we can do, a hydro sensor, is if there is oil present, then we have these doors closed. Otherwise, they're going to be open. And then I'm going to use the not of that. So we'll go ahead and do this little number because I want it to be the opposite. So when there is liquid, I want those doors to close. All right, so we now have a method to isolate the temperature that's out here from in here so we can get things hot enough to turn to natural gas, boom, and then it will shut off. So, but now we need to be able to actually transfer this thermal energy. So what sort of gases can we use? Obviously, hydrogen is going to be a good option, but the problem with hydrogen is that it's going to remain a gas form. And we could see, again, in this arrangement right here, there is a potential for some of that heat to find its way out. So that's why he's got that little triple door setup right there in order to close one door and then reopen it to isolate the two. And then he's got this little water lock for the, so that any temperature over here just doesn't find its way through. So we don't get like hot natural gas. However, I want to be able to transfer energy quite a bit faster because I'm going to have a much bigger system. So in order to do that, we're going to go back to the very first video we did. It was somewhere in this video, right there, or maybe a different video somewhere else. But at one point, I had used phosphorus down here. And that you can find in the map. You can dig it up as a solid. And the cool thing about it is once it gets hot enough, it'll turn into a liquid around 44 degrees Celsius. And then after that, once it gets up to like 260, it turns into a gas, which has more useful thermal properties than hydrogen. Let me make a couple of tile samples over here. There we go. So phosphorus gas, we'll go ahead and get rid of this. Temperature, right? There's a little bit right there. Hydrogen gas, we'll put that right next to it. And it's not available in the game just yet, but helium will be, I would think it would be here eventually. But helium is a gas that you can paint into the game, so at some point we might end up seeing it. But just to compare those three, hydrogen we see all the time, we use it all the time, has a specific heat capacity of 2.4, so it has quite a bit of energy inside of that, and thermal conductivity of 1.68. However, phosphorus over here has a lower specific heat capacity, but it's got a thermal conductivity that's quite a bit higher at 2.36. Nowhere near what we're seeing with the metal tiles, though. And actually, helium has an even less specific heat capacity, but its thermal conductivity is right around 2.36, which is the exact same. Interesting. That might end up changing. You always got to keep an eye on that stuff as the game gets updated and more features get added to the game, which is just about every month. Things change. So it's always worthwhile to check the properties to make sure that they still make sense when you actually go to use them inside the game. So just a little bit of a disclaimer right there. But I'm going to use phosphorus at this point. So the real key thing with phosphorus is watch what happens when I put it over here. It's hot to begin with, right? So it's very, very hot, 400 and some degrees in this example, which is what we will see inside of the chamber. But as it cools down, it turns into a liquid. So the cool thing about this gas is that we can actually use it to create a vacuum inside of this volcano chamber. So when you need to go in there and dig things out, you don't have to worry about like hot gases getting out. So how we do this, or at least how I think it's going to happen, is that I'll take this automation signal that I set up already, but I'm going to run it to an OR gate, and that OR can then, be placed out. Oops, I need to have a knot there. Hang on. So just like that, and then if I signal this to be green, or active, I should say, then those doors will open or close as well. And what that allows us to do is if we want to cool that chamber down below 200 and some degrees Celsius, it'll then condense all of the phosphorus, hopefully, inside of there. But that's only if the magma's become cold enough to get down to that point. I don't know. There might be too much down there, and this idea may not work. But you can see that's the theory, at least. We'll see if it happens. Moving on. Let's build up from here. All right, so now I've got the ability to create natural gas in a controlled manner. What do I want to do with it now? I want to make steam. And I want to make a lot of steam. Bam. Right there. And then we'll have vents here. We'll worry about vents later. So that's some natural gas. I think we're going to go too tall with that, just to kind of keep with the theme of having double stack. This is a boiler plate for the liquid, for the water, polluted water. What do I want to do? Steam turbine works as its own floor. That thing's kind of big, and it doesn't really sit all that well right there. I also don't need this. It's not like liquid's gonna get above that. Alright. I want this to be in a cool spot, so it's all like nice and vertical. There we go. Alright, so I'm gonna have a bulkhead there, and then I'll have a steam turbine on top of that. And you know what that means? I can go ahead and leave that right there, more metal tiles. Alright, so what this is doing here is I'm going to pump water in there. It'll then get really hot as natural gases around it, and hopefully it'll reach a temperature of 300 or so-ish degrees, and then this thing will open up and let all of that steam through, and the steam turbine will then, kick in, and it'll take a lot of that temperature off of this steam. Not a huge amount, but enough, and then that will then generate some power. So we're getting two things that we really want. We're getting a little extra power, instead of just the natural gas. And we're also dropping the temperature down. So the key here is maybe we can get it down to 250, and then maybe we can get the natural gas by the time it gets to the top, once we get it through the pre-cooling chambers for like natural crude oil or something like that. The crude oil preheaters. Is hopefully we can get it down to around 100 degrees Celsius or lower at the top of the system here so that our pumps and everything are safe. So we will need a condenser up top. You know what? I want to make this thing look cool. So I'm not going to design it like that. It's got to be symmetrical. Even if it doesn't make sense. It still has to be. Bum, bum, bum. Perfect. Or close to symmetrical. I see that block. I don't like you, block. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, now it's starting to look good. Hot natural gas flowing up. Making some steam. Perfect. Some steam. Making some steam. And then, ooh, okay. Perfect. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Bingo. Oh no, one too short. Oh yeah, now it's starting to look like something. Ooh. All right, so now what I can do is I can use an airlock. And at this point, I don't think it's a big deal if it's, you know, a little bit of heat gets by. No big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and put an iron door there. Remember, it's not very thermally conductive as compared to everything else that's going on down here. And then what I can do is I can have two sensors. We're going to have an atmospheric pressure sensor and then a thermal sensor, which I might put down a little bit lower. Maybe right down here, just to get kind of the closest to the average of all the natural gas that's around. So now that natural gas is down there, boom, it'll then fly up into the next area. So it should be roughly 300 degrees at this point. All right, so now that I've got these steam turbines here, I guess one of the things I could use is I could use like door compressors to move that steam back down here into this chamber until it heats up again. That is definitely one option. And that's probably a pretty good option if I just want to get power out of the thing. Because otherwise I have to kind of design a system a bit like this that doesn't explode, but that's just to get so I can get dirt out of it. All right, so we're going to try to efficiently harvest the energy here, and we're not going to recirculate any of the water. I mean, we might have to feed a little bit more in there because the doors might destroy a little bit every now and then. But for the most part, this will build up pressure, let it through, no big deal. All right. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And as long as I have a thermal sensor here, and then probably an atmospheric sensor as well, then I know what sort of like environments I have down here. So I can use an AND gate in order to get that to work. So once I've reached a certain temperature and a certain pressure, then that door will open up, letting the steam turbine run. So we'll see how much we get out of that. I know these things won't run continuously, but in this situation, they're not going to run continuously, and I don't need them to. So that should work pretty good. All right, we have hot natural gas at this point. So what I need to do is I need to get crude oil into this hot plate here. Now, I thought I was going to do this with a pump. You know what? I might still do it with a pump. Here's what I was thinking. I was thinking kind of like a radiator system, a bit like what we saw right here, except for... Oh, yeah. That'll definitely work because it won't be hot enough to turn it into natural gas or petroleum at that point. So it will just get hot. So I was trying to think. So what I want to do is be able to build up a known amount of liquid inside of some pipes here. So what do we got? This is probably just fine. So wolframite, yeah, that'll be great. So something like this, right? And then I'll have a liquid shutoff valve here and here, keeping things symmetrical. Yes. Liquid shutoff valves. Bam. Okay, so right there and right there. And then we're just going to go ahead and isolate that real quick. And then abyssalite right on into it. Liquid vents down here. So when that's activated, we're just going to dump a lot of hot crude oil in there. At least that's the hopes. So it's 10 kilograms per tile. So this is a way that we can kind of measure out the amount of natural gas we're going to have down here based on how big this radiator is. So I don't know how big it has to be at this point, but once we kind of know what we're getting out of the system, we could probably calculate that. Right now I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to try to set it up the best I can. Alrighty. No, I didn't do it symmetrically. No! You! Get out of here. There we go. Bum, bum, bum. Wolframite. Perfect. Alright, so in order to top this thing off, we need a tank of crude oil. And inside of here, we're going to have 2 liquid pumps. Yes. And these liquid pumps will then pump that crude oil down here into the radiators, which we can see right there, then down, so I say, into the charging radiators. Ooh, make it all fancy. Which then forces that right down here into the hot plate. Get the idea. You can also see that this is made of a metal tile, so it'll also absorb a little bit of temperature as well. I may want to convert that into something that could be turned off if it gets too hot. And you know what? I think that's probably a good idea. So right back to abyssalite. Here we go. And then we can use a mechanized airlock over here. Bam! And right there. Bam! Ah, made out of the wrong stuff. Hang on, let me make that out of better stuff. Wolframite, there we go. Maintaining the 2-tile gap. Perfect. And what we have up here is a place for our critters. Yay. Do I even want this over here? Because I want to be able to get inside of... Nah, you don't need to get inside of there. You could just walk across an airflow tile, right? I think I'm going to have to break my symmetry at this point. Door. Door? No. Door. Door dig. Dig. Clear floor. Metal tile. Oh, crap. Don't do that. Da, 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 da. Tungsten. Yes. Tungsten. Yes. More tungsten. And then a little bit of abyssalite. We don't need one right down there. We can actually just leave that. That'll be perfect. Alright, so temperature can come inside of here, and then if I have a little bit of an automation thermal sensor, and if that goes above 100 degrees, then we'll just, you know, if we go above 100, then it will shut down. Or, then I want to use the not of that. So like that. Wait, no. Hang on, nope. Just like that. So I want it to be closed when I'm not above, when I'm below. Okay, so for the pen up here, this is where all the slicksters are going to go and all the carbon dioxide will flow in. Not to mention it's also a dumping place for any crude oil that I might be pumping in from anywhere else in the base. Same automation switch over here, thermal sensor, can be used to turn off a source if that source is above a temperature that I can pump. So if it's coming from an area like this, 323 degrees Celsius is really hot. I might actually just either want to pump that, I'll probably just want to pump that directly into the hot chamber down here, but I could also just kind of mix it until it isn't, you know, until it's too hot. Actually, then I couldn't even pump it to begin with. I don't know what you do with that. That's a whole nother discussion. All right. We're making good progress. Pen. We need a pen. We need mechanized airlocks that are going to keep the gases from doing their thing. So you'd probably want to have a liquid lock if you really cared about it. It's carbon dioxide. I mean, it's not a big deal. Tell you what, we'll do it super easy style. You ready? Terrarium. I know. It almost feels like I'm cheating, but... Oh, you know what? If I put that above... Oh, here's a decent idea. If I do this number, would that automatically create a gas lock? If I let them come down like that, boop, 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 and then I put this right there, carbon dioxide would still be down here and never really get out, but I'd have oxygen up there. Bruh, that might just work. That might be something. I like that. That might be a little bit too restrictive though. Let's do this number. Haha, perfect. You can see where we're headed. Up here. I don't have enough room for this giant plant anymore. Okay, so now that I'm all the way up here, got all my little slicksters. They're up in this area, doing their little slickster thing. Actually, you know what? Let's just move that floor down. I could just put the slicksters like right here. And then like feed the carbon dioxide into that same area. But that'd be a little weird. Okay, so now, still possibly hot enough. So let's keep going up. Stop game. No, 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 go away, stop. Okay, so I liked this system over here. This was kind of cool in that I was able to heat up polluted water to the point of actually boiling off and then getting polluted dirt out of it. And that was a really useful feature to have. So let's see if we can do the same sort of thing here. So we'll use this space up over here, and then we'll create steam over here to the left and try to condense it back down to water. I mean, it's kind of a big thing, but, you know. All right, so what was the problems with this one? Everything got destroyed. That was the problem. So how do you keep everything from getting destroyed? I don't know. Need more caffeine. Beef jerky is so good. The only thing more dangerous than beef jerky is if you mix it with Mountain Dew. Beef jerky and dew. Alright. I clearly did not think of a better solution, so let's just hammer away at it. This seemed to work pretty good at making steam. It probably could be a little bit bigger though. I want to make sure that I have enough flow of natural gas past it. Don't need that natural gas lollygagging around. Unless I use the thermal shift plates up there, that would probably be a good idea as well. Alright, hang on. Let's figure out where I want that pump and stuff to be. We can call it a sump pump. Haha, yeah. Alright, so the sump pump down here, that'll have a nice tank of water. I'm always going to leave a little bit of water in that so that it doesn't ever get hot enough to explode like we saw over here. So we'll make that tank a little bit bigger. And then we'll leave the nice important stuff, which is going to be like the... I'm changing the game plan a little bit here. Here's what I'm doing. So natural gas is going to go around to the right and then come back into the middle. Yes. And that is where I'm going to have all my doors. Haha, so it'll finish a lot like it began. See it like that? Boosh, boosh. Obviously, this is extremely large and might be bigger than it actually needs to be, you know, but it'll give us some sort of idea of maybe the mechanics, you know, that we can use behind it as far as how we can get things to work and do what we want them to do. So maybe we'll do this number here, and that number there, and then we'll do the same sort of door trick. So I'm going to put a little bit of a abyss light right there. Boom. Maybe that'll stay safe. I don't know. We'll see. And then we're going to use a thermal sensor right here in order to get into the final chamber, which is the pumping room. Maybe this is a good room for batteries as well. Maybe not. Maybe that's a whole different topic, but hey, there we go. We finally made it to the top of this stage of the power plant. Kind of ridiculous, but let's see if it works. All right, so the last thing I did is put an atmospheric sensor up here at the top. Now that's going to be like the governing sensor, because if there's lots of natural gas up here, then this thing, you know, we don't really need to run the rest of this. We don't need to put more into the system. So that's one primary sensor that we can use to just operate this entire thing. I need an automation sequence for the doors. And that automation sequence I can actually find from that exact same video. This was actually a pretty good video, because it has everything I need thus far. Filter buffer, filter buffer, filter buffer, filter buffer, filter. There we go. And I've got a little button to turn it off. Bridge over that, bridge over that, bridge over that. Haha. Okay, cool. You know, water's getting through that. Maybe the airflow tile is not the right idea there. Rather just a metal tile. I'm going to go ahead and put 200 kilograms of water in here. That should be a good amount. Turn that off so it doesn't annoy me. Also put some polluted water in here. And crash the game. Glad I saved it. Always be saving, kids. Always. And that is a very good life lesson. Save the game. Save everything. Frequently and often. I can't tell you how many times that has saved me in life. Like, I feel like it's a nervous twitch now. Like, Control S is just, I did something, save it. That's what happens when you work on a CAD system, like your whole life. You're just like, oh, I just moved that piece. I better hit save. Otherwise, my whole floor plan could blow up and I'd be in trouble. Which happens. Happens on like a daily basis. Something all of a sudden goes wrong and you could have lost the last 3 hours of work. But no, you lost the last 30 seconds of work because you just hit Control Save every opportunity you got. Alright, so there we go. As you can see, I lost no work. It's dirty water, right? Dirty? Put a little bit of that dirty water down there. Boom. How about we put some hot Johnnies up on top as well? So in case your life goal was to pee on a volcano, that's your opportunity. Hey, we can even get some clean stuff out, just like so. Feed the Johnnies. Yeah. Oh yeah, I like that. It's even symmetrical. Oh, I love it. So there we have it. We have the hot Johnny system here. That's what cools everything. Bunch of duplicants come by, they pee on the volcano, and out comes lots of power. Because right down here, oops, that's backwards. No. Okay, now you never want to cross the streams. You know, it just causes all kinds of confusion. So what you do is you'll bring it in like this, and that's where we're going to have one liquid vent there. And then on the other side, we'll do the same sort of thing. However, we're going to use a liquid bridge at this point. This is going to work out perfectly. So if it needs to vent the other direction, it can go that way. Whoop. Or just like that. Oh, man. Okay. I don't know what I created there, but it's probably not going to work. Let's see here. I'm not going to be testing it anyhow. I'm sure if you were a little less obsessed about trying to make things symmetrical, then it would work just fine. Take the stream out of this and the stream out of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring that liquid outside. Alrighty, so that protects it from overheating. And then we could just bring this up and bridge it back in. Make sure I connect my little clock sensor. And that will allow me to open or close these doors for just a little bit of time. That way I can get some dirt out of it. All right, so for the gas pumps, I'm just going to go ahead and pump those. And we're just going to pump those up into some void for right now. They would head off to the natural gas generators and that whole power plant. But at this point, we're not going to be able to test that tonight. There's just not enough time to do all that. I mean, holy cow, this has been massive as it is. Look at that monstrosity. Look at it. This power plant's going to take up like the whole base. Maybe not. But if we get enough volcanoes, it definitely will. All right, so what's the automation I need for this door right down here? It's going to have to be some sort of AND gate to open that door up. So the temperature is going to have to be below 300 degrees Celsius. And the pressure is going to have to be above 20 kilograms. If it's both of those, then that door should open. Currently, it is below the temperature, and the pressure needs to be above 20 kilograms, so that needs to be off. There we go. So as far as this thing needs to run, it needs to be above, what was the heating temperature? 226 degrees. So let's say above 230 degrees Celsius, and the pressure will also be above 10 kilograms. Maybe even more than that. 15. Forget it. All the way up. All right, so for the next thing here, we'll leave that off. If this signal here is above 1 kilogram, we know then that's going to run. We also want to make sure that these guys up here, the liquid shutoffs, they will actually turn on some hot crude oil into the system. Alrighty, here we go. It's now running. So we can see I have crude oil in there. And that's kind of cold, actually. No. There we go, 100 degrees Celsius, much better. Oh, whatever, we'll start it off with some cold oil. It'll be just fine. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a mesh tile right here. Make it out of something that's not going to blow up. And then next to that, I will put a storage compactor made of abyssalite. And what I would put is some phosphorite inside of there, phosphorus. So I'll just paint that right above it. And then in this case, I will dig that up. So now when this volcano goes to erupt, it should melt this phosphorus right there, filling this entire chamber with really hot gas. And then I'll see what I forgot. But since it is currently dormant, let's go ahead and put some magma up there. paint that. Drop a little bit of magma there. A little bit more. A little bit more. Maybe that needs to be made of something a little different. Or maybe it just shouldn't be on on a mesh tile, but actually like an airflow tile, so that the liquid sits on top of it. Let me just clear that before it melts real quick. There we go. An airflow made of wolframite. Let's try this again. Phosphorite. We'll dig that out. Let's see, it's just sitting right there. And then once we hit it with a little bit of magma, watch what happens. That phosphorite starts to heat up, and eventually it'll turn to a liquid here. Oh, I put way too much in there. Hang on. 300 kilograms. There we go. Now the temperature's going up. Boom. So it turned into a liquid really quick. Now we got some phosphorus in here. And you can see that the temperature of this metal tile is just going up very, very quickly. And the temperature of the phosphorus gas, look at that, 1,000 some degrees. Really, really high. Although I do have some polluted oxygen above that, so I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum that out. Might have to be careful when we build this to actually make it somewhat of a closer to a complete vacuum. Now there is a little bit of polluted oxygen. That's what I was looking for, just a little bit, not like a complete seal. So there's just like one tile of polluted oxygen just floating around. Awesome. Okay, so at this point, I should be able to kick this thing off. And I think one thing I was missing right here, if I look at the automation, is this needs to be to a NOT gate. Automation NOT. In and out. There we go. So that should let the liquid through. 87. Here we go. So we're going to see all this liquid crash down here, and what we should see is the temperature go across. Boom. Now the crude oil is increasing in temperature rapidly. Remember, it was very, very cold to begin with. Matter of fact, this whole system is quite cold. Okay, so I noticed one problem right off the bat here, and that is this needs to be 2 tiles. Shoot, what did I destroy? Nothing. Whew. And then we might as well just call all of this right here. Just like that. There we go. All right, so here we go. We got a bunch of petroleum down there, 71 kilograms per tile, and it's about to flip on over here now to natural gas. Hopefully we'll see some crazy stuff start happening. Boom! Natural gas. And here comes some more crude oil. So now we've got a lot of hot gas right here, a lot of hot natural gas. It's starting to heat up that water. Man, I need a better volcano. This volcano sucks. Go over here. I'm gonna borrow the other volcano I got. Alright, better. I got a volcano that'll actually erupt in the next 100 cycles. Whoa, whoa, petroleum. How'd you get up there? No! I don't know how that happened. I guess maybe there wasn't enough room for all the petroleum? Okay, well, I'm going to start by mopping that up because that's just bad. So I can see that I have a lot of steam. The temperature just isn't hot enough yet. Mostly it's these doors and stuff. They're just not up to temperature yet. So they... I'm gonna go ahead and turn them off for just a minute. So one thing I might want to add here, pressure, huh? Crap. So the pressure sensor there was not sensing, it was sensing what? It was a little bit of polluted oxygen found its way over the sensor. Oh, how annoying is that? Okay, so that's starting to let natural gas through. Cool. All right, what I was about to say is I might want to hook this Atmos sensor in with the liquid shutoff valves as well, so that I don't keep adding more and more to this natural gas down here. I don't want this to become overpressured. So if it's above, then it shouldn't run. But it looks like it just keeps going back and forth, so I might have to do some tweaking with that. But I'm letting natural gas through, and you can see that the temperature over here is actually 97 degrees, so it's doing pretty good. But then again, the crude oil inside of here, well, it is about 100 degrees, so that's actually working pretty good. So it's entering at about 167 degrees. By the time it's out, it's 100 degrees. It's not going to be hot enough to make this stuff. No, I forgot all about those. Liquid. Looks like I forgot one. I need one more for the liquid shutoff valve system. I'm going to set all of these to 50 kilograms. So each one should have 100 kilograms, more or less. Actually, it'll be little bit different because it won't stop the liquid that's flowing in, so it'll be a little bit above that, but I'm not setting it very high is what I'm trying to get at there, because I do want it to convert to steam. I don't want it to sit there forever and ever. Okay, so now I need to turn these on. We'll put that to above 0, because that ended up with 0.03 on there, and it just kept filling up and up and up with more and more crude oil. So I had to change that bottom sensor. Come on, steam, 250 degrees. However, the pressure is not there, so let's say 10,000 then. I just didn't put enough water in there to begin with. No, not 1,000. No, not even close to enough water. Add another 200 kilograms to each side. You can see the temperature of the natural gas as it's going by. It's only at 103 right now, so it has reached the top part here, and it is starting to heat up the polluted water. However, by the time it's getting up here to the pumps, man, it's only like 30 degrees. So the temperature of the crude oil that's being added into the system here is reaching 135 degrees Celsius. That's pretty good. It may be possible just to get rid of this entire steam system right here and actually just go with this kind of giant radiator. That might be possible, actually. I added another 200 on each side here. There just needs to be a lot of steam in there. Especially since I'm running the game fast, it seems to destroy a little bit more steam when these doors are running. And of course I got polluted oxygen up here at the top, so I'm just going to vacuum that away. Let the natural gas go up there. And once this gets over 3 kilograms, then these things will turn on and pump into this void, which you can't see. Oh, these sensors, I guess, are set to below 50 kilograms. That's what they need to be. What I might want to use down here, rather than a clock sensor? No, never mind. I was going to say I could mix in a weight plate for the dirt that drops on top of it, right down here, so that these doors don't open up unless there is dirt there to be picked up, or unless it's missing dirt to be picked up, or something like that. So if there isn't dirt there, then the clock cycle would open the door. You can get real complicated with it if you want to. Huh. What's going on? I think I broke the game. For whatever reason, these doors will not increase in temperature. They were stuck at like 500 degrees. They just wouldn't go up. I don't know how I managed this, but I've pretty much broken the game. Well, let's try some copper doors. Well, there we go. Now it's working. I somehow broke the doors. Oh! No! Stop doing this one, game. That's just not right. Ah! Ah! Oh, well, what if I mop this? Hold up. The game just really wants to be mean to me right now. Don't you dare go out of here. Stay down. What? 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 I've been at this for 2.5 hours. And that's what you do to me? That doesn't make any sense at all. Buildings, get out of here. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move these vents someplace where they have another spot to go. Ooh, buddy, we're making steam now. How? What? How did we get all the way up here? And what? You blew up the shutoff valves. How'd you? It's not even hot in there. Oh. It's because the liquid that came in was too hot. Oh, this isn't gonna be good. Unlimited crude oil in one spot. Now it's overpressurized at 1,000 kilograms. Yeah, there's no way that's a good thing. Plan C! Okay, you know that thing I was talking about? That's not gonna happen anymore. So now, no, stop trying to destroy me. Okay, mop that up, and just go away. I don't need you anymore. Okay, you. That's a lot of crude oil down there. Let me tell you what. The madness. And not. And this automation wire. Come on. this automation wire. How do I get it there? Such a good plan. Blowing up in my face. All right, here we go. Yep. So those won't run unless the temperature is dropped down to an acceptable level. Now that's the stupid pressure. Wrong sensor. So what's the temperature we have up here? 112 degrees Celsius. Perfect. That's what I wanted to see. What do we got going on up here? It's like 30 degrees Celsius. So that's like really cold. These should really just run to a natural gas generator. I mean, I just want to see it work. It even takes a long time to make all of this. All right, there we go. Power, natural gas. Yeah. Deconstruct. Save. Okay, interesting. So the steam generator on the left has managed to destroy most of its steam. Well, the other one hasn't. So there you go, have some more water. How did petroleum get up here? No! What? Again, I have no idea how that happens. What? Flood all the way up there? No idea. But I'm gonna get rid of all of these to give it more space to do what it needs to do. All right, I'd have to put these guys over here, these liquid shutoff valves, in a spot where they're not going to overheat. But for right now, since I'm basically running out of time, didn't think this would take so long. I'll just put some water. No, don't put water in there. Come on now. Thought that was oxygen. Put some oxygen inside of here to take care of that. And it's really cold, and there's a lot of it in there. Ah, crap. I destroyed the automation that I needed. Thermal sensor. This is below. There we go. So now we're letting natural gas in. So there's like 100 and some kilograms down here. It's this poor system. Oh, startup's a little difficult. Look at all these natural gas generators running though. At least that's working. Oh, I forgot the last one. And awesome, we got some more magma down here. It's re-melting some of that rock down there. That's awesome. Okay, so the natural gas is still flowing out of this area. So it's 150 degrees up here at this point. So we're not hot enough to turn this polluted water into anything other than just hot polluted water. You can see the temperature. As soon as it gets right there, it's not steaming things up. So I'm going to change that to 5 and see if I can get something out of it. So here's a good source of some relatively cooler polluted water if I wanted to really cool some things off. So I could also feed that back into here. And maybe, you know what, maybe this thing just becomes a water radiator and we don't worry about steam. You know, once it gets hot enough, it then goes to the fertilizer synthesizer. That might be one thing. I don't know. I think once we get to the fertilizer synthesizers, these natural gas generators will be more used to actually cool themselves and that whole system. Look at all this stuff running. Look at it. It's just running all day long. Well, we did have a lot of stuff really get built up down there. So the temperature up here is finally getting to the point where we might start to see some steam, but it's still a long ways off. Matter of fact, it's dropping all the way to 46 degrees Celsius by the time it gets to the top. Okay, so what are the reports from the day before? Natural gas generators, 4,691 kilojoules. So my net was 4,688 just for that day. These steam generators are not running very much because, oops, actually that report included the manual generator, but whatever, that's pretty much insignificant at this point. Let's go ahead and mop a lot of this polluted water out of there, just to kind of simulate something a little bit different. I think the thermal mass of all of that polluted water is just so much that it's kind of impossible for this natural gas to overcome at this point. I might never see anything change into a more stable system at this point. Unless I'm up for the next 3 hours, which isn't going to happen. I think it's midnight. I started at 9. I thought, man, I was going to get done by 11. It would be great. Nope, not the case. I still got to edit this video too. Oh boy. I don't have enough natural gas generators. Of course, we kind of knew that was going to be the case, didn't we? Hang on, let me save this game real quick before I try to do what I'm going to do. Alright, so here we go. Oh, man! Whoa! That's what I'm talking about. Wow, things are getting complicated. Yeah, And then you go on out, right? I'm gonna need more slicksters. Entombed by what? Oh, a little bit of ice. Be free! What is wrong with you? You're just broken. That one's just broken. I don't know what's wrong with it. Oh, half of these are broken. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Something's going wrong. Unpause game. Let game run. Oh, I know. Slicksters. That's what's wrong. Hatch more puffed. Come on, Slickster. Where are you at? Plan B? To the void? Alright, there we go. I think that'll do it. Print screen. Okay, fine. Here's what I'm going to do. I mean, it's not like I don't have enough natural gas. Hello, I've got lots. But I just gotta vacuum some stuff out of here so I can get this bottom chamber up and running again. There we go. Close off for a bit. Where did the vents even go? Ah! Please don't break on me. Okay, so everything's gonna puddle up except for where the sensor is. Petroleum. And then that's just gonna keep heating up. So now I've got a lot of natural gas in here, but it's over 400 degrees right now. So I should see the temperature of the steam go up. I did put more steam in here, so maybe I put too much. Hey, there we go. So now the steam turbines are up and running. Excellent. So we're taking some of that heat out of there. We've now opened up a little bit right there to let some natural gas through. Okay, so here's another thing I need to do. I need to add a filter gate here so that I don't just, the second that becomes true, it just doesn't switch right off the bat because, you know, once this goes below 300, well, then it sits there for a while. So then it drops more liquid on it and it heats up faster than I can let it out. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna put 60 on it. So hopefully that door will stay open for like 60 seconds. So you can see now it's open. Oop. So that seems to be working. We're letting that natural gas flow through. It's about 116 degrees right here. 80, 74, 73. We can see the amount of natural gas flowing through, which is pretty decent. I don't have enough slicksters. Even though I wasn't really planning to use slicksters, well, they're just kind of a good spot. Right there. Bloop. So, previous day, 7,247 kilojoules right there. Most of it from the natural gas generators. So, about 156 is coming from the manual generators. Holy cow, that was 10,000 kilojoules right there. Those natural gas generators are putting out a lot, but then again, there's a whole bunch of them. Alright, so here's a weird thing that I've noticed, at least in these experiments, and I'm not even sure I can confirm it, but it seems like when I'm off screen doing something and I come back, I find that these door compressors have destroyed some of the gas, like quite a bit of it. I know they're definitely crushing some of it because I had like 40 kilograms just a minute ago. So I don't think the door compressor thing is really working out all that well. Alright, so I'm going to let this run for a little bit more. I think there's some things that I've learned from this. I'm not terribly crazy about this arrangement with the door compressors. It's just kind of annoying. You kind of have to manage it a little bit too much. I like this big radiator for the liquid pipes. I think that's a win right there. Of course, I would probably loop it back around so that the liquid shutoff can reside within the same bath. You know, figure out a different arrangement there. I am getting a decent amount of preheating out of this, so that's 185 degrees Celsius, which is pretty good considering it's at 100 just inside of here. And this system up top right now is just not seeing enough temperature at this point in order to create any steam, which is kind of strange, but so the temperature is 146 down here, but by the time it gets anywhere up there, it's like 94, 67. So there might just be too much cooling up there. probably want to try to use some more of these thermal control doors to kind of work that system a little bit so that you keep bouncing it up. So doesn't look like we've completely solved the problem yet. I think in order to convert areas into steam like this, we just want to put, those sandwich doors next to hotter areas and really transfer across and then open up if it's above a certain temperature so that it doesn't overheat. So with that in mind, what I'm learning from this is that I probably want to recycle a lot of this polluted water that's coming out of the natural gas generators back and convert it into steam. And then at some point, we're probably going to convert polluted water into just clean water using a skimmer or something like that in order to make sure that we're cutting enough heat off the system altogether, and make that what is used to condense the steam down that the polluted water is creating. So a little bit different method, but you can see here, this was absolutely some crazy madness, and it's probably the biggest thing I've ever made, especially at one recording. But we've definitely made some progress, especially as far as the ability to generate natural gas down here, just using this unit. So there's some things we learned that work and some things that don't work. So, hey, if you don't ever make any mistakes, I don't think you ever learn anything new. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. If I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Let's go ahead and take a look over the reports, though, just to see what we have. Natural gas generators, anywhere from 5,000. Looks like I'm getting about 5,000 out of it. 6,000. It's all over the place, guys. But I would maybe safe to assume 5,000 kilojoules? I don't know. Anyhow, we'll have to give it another try in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. Peace. Brothgar out.